All right, Shalom, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Racha HaKodash, double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations to you, sincere and hopeful elect Akim, Ma'a Arabayim Arabai Alap. That's to say 144,000 in the Lashma Kodash. That's what we are striving to be, of that number. So this lesson I want to get into something that Trump has said pertaining to the finalization of the Gaza peace deal. So we'll get to it. He mentioned you know, he was quoted as saying that blessed are the peacemakers. All right, so this guy really thinks that he's a peacemaker. Pertaining to having some type of influence, whatever degree of influence he had with this deal, in which, he's an Edomite. It's impossible for him to be a peacemaker. All right, we know that is talking about, the elected of the nation of Israel. Pretty much, the men of the Lord that have this true wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, the true gospel, the true doctrine. All right. That's how you are a peacemaker. Okay. Utilizing wisdom, and maneuvering pretty much in this system, being wise as a serpent and harmless as a dove. That's how you are a peacemaker. All right. You're not a peacemaker by dropping bombs on people. He commissioned or allowed earlier this year, President Trump, that is, he allowed those bombs to be dropped over in Iran. So how the hell are you a peacemaker? You know what I'm saying? He allowed Benjamin Netanyahu to, continue to, wage war on those people in Gaza, on those Palestinians. Cutting off food aid and humanitarian aid to those people. To the point that they, were eating sea turtles. All right, experiencing a famine. All right, so how is he a peacemaker? Okay, but him being an Edomite, what these Edomites is doing, or these small hats is doing, is taking bits and pieces of the scriptures and trying to justify themselves as being the Heavenly Father's chosen people. Okay, so as you see here, this is from political.com. It says finalize. Actually, it says Trump says Israel and Hamas finalize Gaza peace deal. It says the president said Israel and Hamas have signed off on the first phase of a deal to end the 2-year conflict in Gaza. All right, it says President Donald Trump said Wednesday that Israel and Hamas have signed off on the first phase of a deal to end the war in Gaza, a significant diplomatic accomplishment that, if it holds, would halt 2 years of bloodshed and a spiraling humanitarian catastrophe. Trump announced the deal in a Truth Social post outlining an agreement that would include the release of all the hostages seized by Hamas in its October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel, and will lead to a broader peace between Palestinians and the U.S. state. All right, and why does it have to be called a U.S. state? That land, the land of Israel, that's a country. Okay, but they refer to it as a state. When we get in the kingdom of heaven, when we are located in the land of Israel, it's not going to be considered a Jewish state. No, this is going to be the kingdom of Israel, the country of Israel. All right. So that right there lets you know that those ain't the people. All right. It says this means that all the hostages will be released very soon, and Israel will withdraw their troops to an agreed upon line as the first steps toward a strong, durable, and everlasting peace. Everlasting peace. And you will not have everlasting peace with Esau at the controls. All right, where Esau, driving the boat, controlling the boat, steering the boat, you're not going to have peace. It says all parties will be treated fairly, which I doubt that. Trump wrote, "This is a great day for the Arab and Muslim world, Israel, and all surrounding nations, and the United States of America, and we thank the mediators from Qatar, Egypt, and Turkey who worked with us to make this historic and unprecedented event happen. Blessed are the peacemakers." All right. So he has the nerves to say, blessed are the peacemakers, whether that's just referring to Israel or America or even Qatar, Egypt, or Turkey. You know, none of those aforementioned nations are the peacemakers, in which this term "blessed are the peacemakers" that comes from the scriptures, man. Okay, that comes from the Bible. So he's trying to equate, those small hats as being, the people of the book, and that's just flat out erroneous. All right, that's blasphemy. So here in Matthew 5, starting at verse 9, it says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of the Most High." All right, now Esau is not a child of the Most High. Okay, he's a child of Satan. All right, Satan or the devil, because he is the devil. All right, the spiritual demon Satan is who they take commands from. That's who guides them on the left hand side. Okay, but the children of the Most High will be, found to actually live what the scriptures say. Those people in the land of Israel, Donald Trump, that none of them, they don't even have a beard on their face. All right, or just Donald Trump in particular. You know, a peacemaker, a true peacemaker, and that's going to be considered a child of the Most High, as an Israelite man, would at least have a beard on his face. And many other things. It says, "Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." Now, once again, those people in the land of Israel, the small hats, are not persecuted for doing the right things contained in the Bible. All right, there's many things contained in the scriptures that they don't even fulfill. They don't even uphold. All right, you got some of them that smoke cigarettes and drink blood and they follow the Talmud. Okay, the scriptures don't tell you to follow the Talmud and do child sacrifices and stuff like that. But guess what? They do. Okay, so how are they being persecuted for righteousness' sake in any capacity? Okay, so they got, the world, pretty much the world woke up to the fact that they're imposters. All right, but being that they got control of this current world, they're able to maintain some type of a stronghold on the people and pretty much get you out of there, if you go against them. All right. But that's why we need Yahweh Shai to return, because only Yahweh Shai is going to be able to take Amalek, all right, Esau, Edom, spearheaded by Amalek, out of power. Okay. And then that's when it's going to be revealed who the real peacemakers are. All right. And which brothers in the know that that's talking about the sincere believers, starting with Great Millstone and the affiliate camps. Okay, those are the true peacemakers, man. Verse 11, it says, Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Now, everything that we say pertaining to Amalek, calling out all their evils, is spot on, because they actually do that. Okay, there's no lie in that. All right, pointing them out in you know uh breeding off their charges, so to say. However, when they, you got a smear campaign against the Israelites, you know, funded by none other than Amalek himself, the small hats, and the things that they say is completely false. Going back into Revelation, how it mentions the accuser of thy brethren. Well, the main accuser of the brethren is the so-called JOOs in the land of Israel. All right, or even here in Babylon the Great. All right, the ones that run this whole system. All right, from the music industry to the, all forms of media, fashion, you name it. Okay, they're the ones who pretty much put us in the hellish conditions that we had to grow up in, and even Jake still experience today. All right, overall, the whole nation of Israel here in captivity in Babylon, we still catching hell, man. But guess what? That's all orchestrated by the small hats. All right, and then with that, they see the conditions that they put us in, and they use that to attempt to accuse us to the Heavenly Father. All right, but guess what? The Most High, he know what's up. He's the one who allowed Amalek to do what he's done and what he's doing. All right, so we are the ones that's being persecuted. In particular, the Lord's true believers. All right, Yahweh Shem Shai's true believers. All right, we're the ones that are persecuted and got all kind of manner of evil spoken against us falsely, and we suffer that for Yahweh Shai's sake. All right, Yahweh Shai went through the same thing. Okay, it says, "Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you." Okay, so the great men of the Lord that have come before us suffered the same things. So it's a rite of passage. Okay, and once again, Amalek, all right, the Edomites, the heathen, all right, those nations mentioned, Qatar, Turkey, Egypt, none of those are the peacemakers, man. Okay, because they're going to be summoned to Saudi Arabia for the purpose of war. Okay, and it's going to take Yahweh Shai coming back to this realm to establish peace. All right. So Isaiah 48:22, it says, "There is no peace, saith Yahweh, unto the wicked." Okay. In the NLT it says, "But there is no peace for the wicked, says Yahweh." All right. Those Amalekites are not going to experience any type of peace. Esau, Edom ain't going to experience peace. Okay. From now till 1,000 years, into their captivity. All right. After that 1,000 years, they're gonna be eradicated from the earth. That whole duration of time, they ain't gonna receive no peace. Why? Because they're the wicked. All right. Isaiah 57:21. It says, "There is no peace, saith the Most High, to the wicked." All right. Simple and plain. To the wicked, uh, um, the ultimate wicked, according to matter of fact, let me grab this. According to Second Esdras, is Esau. All right. So Second Esdras, or not Second Esdras, so like Maccabees, First Maccabees, 1 and all right. So this is going into Alexander the Greek. All right, when he was about to give up the ghost. All right, this is what is said of him and his generals that ruled after him. So First Maccabees 1 and 5, it says, and after these things he fell sick and perceived that he should die, talking about Alexander. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them while he was yet alive. So before he gave up the ghost, he parted his kingdom among his 4 generals. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. All right, so the areas that he gave them to reign and rule over, they did that. Verse 9, after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Okay? So when Esau took over the world, that's when evils just multiplied. All right, just how I was watching the news and prophecy that Elder Yashawama did. I think it's his latest one, and he was focusing on the government layoffs. The government shutdown, which I think he mentioned or a video that he actually played in his video. Somewhere around 750,000 federal workers pretty much lost their jobs. But the point being, he mentions how from 2020, the Crown Royal, until now, that 2020 pandemic was pretty much the start of this economy coming to a halt. All right, as the scriptures say in Ecclesiastes the 12th chapter. But he was pretty much saying, like, from then till now, like, you've seen this economy just go down. It's tanking. Okay, so, and look at all the crazy stuff that's pretty much become normalized, man. All right, all the bugged out stuff, that you see on a daily basis, whether it's with your own 2 eyes or you read a news article, you see something on the news, it's all kind of bugged out stuff. All right. So that, I'm using that to compare it to when Esau came into power, all the nations was wicked and evil, but they really outdid themselves. All right. Esau got in rulership and acted an ass. Okay. And he's continuing that tradition. All right. Verse 10, it says, and there came out of them a wicked root. All right. A wicked root. All right. Esau is the wicked. There's no peace unto the wicked. Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes, son of Antiochus the king, who had been an hostage at Rome, and he reigned in the 137th year of the kingdom of the Greeks. Okay, so an Edomite named Antiochus Epiphanes really, showed his ass. Okay, but the point being that the Edomites are the wicked, man. All right, and who spearheads that is the tribe of Amalek. All right, that's the top tribe for the Edomites. The same way Judah is a top tribe for the Israelites. All right, Amalek, the so-called small hats, are the top tribe for the Edomites. All right, now this is what the scriptures say pertaining to Amalek here in Exodus 17 and 12. I'm going to start at verse 12. It says, but Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat thereon. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the one side and the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomforted Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. All right, because we were going to war with these Amalekites. All right, the small hats. All right, back during the time of Moses. And the Lord Yahweh said unto Moses, write this for a memorial in a book and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. Okay? In the NLT, it says, after the victory, the Lord Yahweh instructed Moses, write this down on a scroll as a permanent reminder and read it aloud to Joshua. I will erase the memory of Amalek from under heaven. So if the Most High is going to erase Amalek's history, being that he's the top tribe of the nation of Esau, guess what? That the memory of the Edomites after they're done and gone away, back to the ether, they you ain't gonna be thinking about them. It's gonna be like they never were. Okay, and why? Because they're the wicked. A people that the Lord created to just be a damn demon, for generations. Just a spiritual witch, a demon, serve his purpose, and then completely blot them out of heaven, blot them out of the earth, man. Okay, and when you look at what everything they doing, everything the reason why the earth is completely jacked up is all because of them. Like that. You don't save those people, those type of people alive. There's no need for an Edomite. All right, there's no need for an Edomite in the earth. All right, the earth will be a far better place if every Edomite was eradicated, and that's exactly what the Lord is going to do. Verse 15, it says, and Moses built an altar and called the name of it Jehovah Nissi. And in the NLT, it says, Moses built an altar there and named it Yahweh Nissi, which means the Lord is my banner. Back in the KJV, it says, for he said, because the Lord Yahweh hath sworn that Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. Okay, so this little peace deal, that shit is not gonna last, man. All right, because prophecy says what we just read is that the Lord is gonna have war. The Heavenly Father is gonna have war. All right, with Amalek from generation to generation. The Lord don't like Amalek. That's why since 1948, them getting up into that land via the Balfour Declaration, they've continuously had war, man. All right, they don't belong there. They don't belong in that land, man. And even those Arab nations know that. All right, the one, even the ones that supposedly helped out with that peace deal, Erdogan and Turkey, Egypt, Qatar. Those people know that Amalek don't belong there. And then another thing too, a lot of those leaders of those aforementioned nations are some of those could be crypto small hats. All right, like you got a lot of those Turks are really small hats. All right, they really stem from Amalek. Okay, even in Egypt. Okay, in Qatar as well. So, at the end of the day, that peace deal is not gonna last. The Heavenly Father is not with none of what these nations think they accomplish. That shit's gonna go right down the drain, and it's gonna be more war. Okay, why? Because that's what prophecy says, man. All right, so just wanted to bring that out. And Abaratazah, that was edifying. Till next time, I say shalom.